It should be a relatively quiet meeting. Not too much to feels like we just met. I don't know. Time is so irrelevant these days. We're so respective to different people. Chris is just getting ready to try to come in, she said, so we'll see if she can get in real quick.
Okay.
And then we'll be set. So for those of you who just joined, Jessie can't make it, so we are almost set as soon as Chris gets here. If she can do it, she's letting me know. So for those of you, I'm going to share in the, I don't know how, I guess I can't, I don't know, Derek, I don't know how to share. Can I share anything in the chat or like a chat or anything, Derek, or is that not?
I don't believe that we have chat set up for this.
Okay. I'll just email all of you. The friends are doing a little different thing this year. I'll talk about it during the meeting and then I'll send you guys an email, I guess, since we can't.
I'll quick also mention that if there's anything you want to share during the meeting, at the very bottom of the screen should be a greenish button that says share screen.
I do see that. I don't think I have anything, but Kelly, I don't know if Kelly does or not. Or if she's
nope, I don't have anything to share on the screen.
And it is time, but I don't know if you've heard anything from Chris being able to join.
She's trying right now, but we can go ahead if we need to. I think she's trying to get in. I mean, we can just go ahead. She'll text me if she gets in and we can add her to the minutes.
Okay, sounds great. So welcome everybody to the November North Liberty Library Board of Trustees meeting. Starting off will be, are there any additions or changes to the agenda tonight? No? Okay. Next, public comment. Don't see anybody else that's joined us, so pass on that one. And then next is the October meeting minutes. Did everybody have a chance to review them? Okay. Does anybody have any questions? No. Is there a motion to approve the October minutes as written?
I so move.
Thank you. Second?
I second.
All right. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Say nay. No. Okay. So October minutes are approved. And then moving right into reports, we're going to start off with Kelly. Thank you for joining us tonight. You have the floor.
Absolutely. So my name's Kelly Forkenbrock. I am the Public Services Librarian for North Liberty Library. And I'm just going to talk about 4 topics. I'll make them quick, but of course I'll leave time for any questions or comments that the board may have. Number 1, I think probably what we've worked on most during this pandemic is really trying to make sure that we're fully staffed and available for some of the ebbs and flows that we've been experiencing due to the pandemic. As a result, we have onboarded 2 new part-time staff members this year. One was onboarded, I think, right after right around the time we started the shutdown in late March. And then we onboarded our second new part-time employee just a month ago. And just that experience, trying to conduct remote interviews, not having the privilege of doing like the whole tour and having, that typical hiring experience. I think we really did a great job of creating a hiring experience and a training and onboarding experience for our newest members that made them feel safe to come into the library, and then also gave them an opportunity to get informed and get some hands-on duties going through the library. And so far, I think we've been doing a great job. We've revamped the training manual. We have a much more fluid process for hiring our part-time associates than we did a year ago. And we're continuing to encourage our current staff to let us know if there are parts that may be missing, if there are parts that may need to be fine-tuned. So I think our onboarding process is something that is just always going to be a work in progress, which is good because given all of the ups and downs we've had due to the pandemic, it's important that we at the library are flexible and that we are able to provide as much instruction and as much follow-up virtually and from a safe distance as we can. And I think that this experience, particularly hiring these two newest part-time members, has definitely given us an experience, a good base on how to continue to build what we would probably call our virtual onboarding experience, and just finding a way to get them onboarded and safely acclimated to the library. So onboarding's been going pretty well.
I have to say that when Kelly says we revamped, she really means she revamped. She did a load of work for it and it was fantastic. And they've hired two really, really good people. I think I just got a text today from Emily that she worked with Danny, who's the one who we hired early, and just was saw how efficient and how well she worked and was able to handle a difficult call that she got this morning. So good job.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And, Jenny's been so great with, helping me with the onboarding process, helping me fine tune that process so that it's so well inbred so that if the Mack truck happens, that information is still there for anyone to take on the onboarding experience. So I'm really proud of what we've been doing with our training, with our new employees. Next up is the ALA grant. American Library Association, in partnership with the Association for Small and Rural Libraries, is doing a grant. It's going to be $3,000 awards for 600 small or rural libraries across the nation. I've been working dutifully with city leaders as well as with staff, including Jenny, to build our application. We'll be submitting our application here on Thursday, and I'm really proud of this project. The project is called Lighthouse in the Library. I'll back up a little bit. So the point of the grant is to be awarded to libraries who want to facilitate at least one conversation within their community about any pressing issues. Based on the training that I've completed with ALA and ARSL or ASRL? RSL, okay. And along with the training modules that I've been watching for the past few months and live webinars and chats, we came up with a fantastic idea called Lighthouse in the Library. And it's going to be a series of quarterly conversations that we'll be holding based on different topics. So the first topic will be diversity during the first quarter of the year. The second topic will be health and wellness accessibility in our community. We'll be discussing that in the spring. The third topic will be education right around the time school starts. We'll be talking about education and kind of, right now that topic is kind of, how that will look based on COVID and how that fares out in 2021, but that will be the topic. And then we're going to do kind of a vision board recap in December of 2021 for our final conversation to kind of recap the 3 previous conversations and also bring forth any goals that we have for 2022. So that is the program that we are proposing for in lieu of this grant funding. We're going to submit the application this Thursday. We've gotten backing from several people in the form of letters of support from Rakesha Harrington, from Ryan Heyer, from Pat Heaton, and I forgot who my fourth one was. I'll have to remember that one, but John Kenyon with UNESCO. So we've gotten some great backing from a variety of community leaders, lots of great input going into this project that we're building, and we should hear definitely before Christmas back from the board, back from ARSL and ALA as to whether or not we are awarded the grant. If in the event that we're not awarded the grant, There will be a second round of awards going out in January. And if we don't get it this time around, I'll definitely be reapplying in January. I think that this $3,000 award would be very helpful, not only to the library to help us get materials that creates more accessibility for our community, but also for the patrons who may want to. We know that there are patrons out there that want to have these in-depth discussions on these very topics, and giving them an opportunity to have give them a platform to speak to these issues, to have one-on-one conversations with us about these issues, and having the library provide that platform is a great gift. So I'm really hoping that we are awarded this grant in the first round.
Hey, Kelly, do you want to tell them a little bit about how you came up with the title for the grant?
Yes. So at first I was, I'm very gung-ho about things. I like to, I'm a solutions oriented kind of person. And at first we were talking, the way that we were thinking about this project was just to have like Zoom conversations, kind of like the format that we're doing right now. But as I did more research and started talking more, and especially during my conversations with Jenny, it became important for me to keep in mind that we don't want to provide solutions so much as provide the platform. So bearing that thought in mind, I started thinking about lighthouses. My mother-in-law is a big fan of lighthouses. She's done a lot of traveling to visit famous lighthouses. And it just came to me that, our position as the library is not necessarily to provide definitive answers, but to be that port in the storm, to be the light that shines on a possible bevy of solutions for folks who may have questions about diversity and equity and accessibility of wellness, and what are my kids going to do if COVID strikes again next fall. So coming up with the idea of lighthouse in the library kind of brings both of those ideas together, that yes, the library is here to be a forum, but just like a lighthouse, we're just kind of showing you with light, we're just shedding light on different possibilities. So that kind of keeps the format kind of loose. And we're also doing a town hall format. I found a style guide on how to do virtual town hall meetings. So I'll be using that to formulate what the talks look like. So, next up, Love, Light, and Lit is a weekly segment that I host every Monday on the Facebook Live page. And this originally started in April, right when we shut down, and Jenny came to me and said, we need programming, here's a half hour, do whatever you want with it. And I started thinking to myself, what people really want to hear right now, especially then in the spring and summer when we had no idea that this would still be going on now, is just some kind of hopeful message, and maybe, a good, healthy distraction from all the gloom and doom that was happening politically and with this pandemic. So we created Love, Light, and Lit, and I host it every Monday, and we come up with a bevy of different topics, from yoga to meditation to national monthly observances, such as National Breast Cancer Month in October, and Black History Month in February. And it's really been fun doing that. I do have a few stats I wanted to share, and these stats come straight from our Facebook page. Over the past month, among the top 10 most viewed videos on our North Liberty Library Facebook page over the past month, 5 of them have been Love, Light, and Lit episodes. The most viewed Love, Light, and Lit episode this month was regarding the topic of National Novel Writing Month. So as I mentioned, we do a lot of the woo stuff like, meditation and yoga, but we also talk about writing, trying to quell creativity from others. Just again, providing a platform where folks don't have to hear about the news and the pandemic and politics, just something that can maybe cultivate and spark something in someone. And some of the 2021 topics, we're already getting started on planning out those topics. Some of the topics we have for 2021, just at the start of the year, we're going to, I've already scheduled a talk with Tyson at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Johnson County. We're going to do a live chat with him in January to celebrate National Mentoring Month. So that'll be a talk where we hear about Big Brothers Big Sisters of Johnson County, and also he can provide tips on how adults can be mentors in our community as well. We'll also be talking about National Read Across America Day, which is also Dr. Seuss's birthday in March. And of course, some of the more known monthly observances like Women's History Month in March, Black History Month in February, American Heart Month, Go Red, we'll be talking about that in February as well. So right now I'm just working on working on that first quarter of topics for 2021. And it's just been an awesome experience. So I definitely encourage you to visit our Facebook page and check out some of the past videos that we have in our archives for Love, Light, and Lit. It's a good time. I really enjoy doing it. And
Kelly's
then
not saying her own praises enough, but I'm going to interrupt and tell you that she's a published author. So that might be one of the reasons people wanted to listen to her talk about writing. How many books, Kelly?
I have 12 published books.
That's amazing. You need to take more credit for all the things you're doing.
Thank you. I will. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, writing is definitely a passion. Books in general are a passion of mine, which is why I do what I do. But also reaching out to the public, having that as a part of a very specific part of my duties is, a part of why Love, Light, and Lit really resonates for me. So awesome. And then lastly is the Stork Storytime podcast. I've been really making a concentrated effort to make sure that there's regular content on the Stork Storytime podcast platform. So far, we've been great. We haven't missed a month in the past 6 or 7 months. So we've been having just constant, interest in it. We have an interest form that we put out sometimes on our Facebook page, asking folks if they'd like to be a guest to come and join us. And Stork Storytime is on all of on all platforms that offer a podcast, including SoundCloud, Apple, Google, all of those. A few stats based on how well Stork Storytime podcast is performing on the SoundCloud app. This month, we've had 295 unique plays from our podcast. So that's about 300 listens just in the past month. So 10 listens a day, not so bad. Our last episode of Stork Storytime actually featured someone who I met through the survey form that we sent out. We were looking for speakers, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to put this form out here and see if we can get, if we can just get regular folks like ourselves to come in and talk. And I've met someone through that form. And of the 295 plays for this month, that one scored almost half of them with 113 plays. It was a great chat from a woman who talked about her and her wife's infertility struggles and how they're building this not so nuclear family. And her whole story is fantastic. I invite you to listen to it if you're ever on the Stork Storytime podcast platform. It was a great chat. And I really feel like she was speaking to a segment of our population that sometimes gets overlooked when we talk about families. And so I thought it was important to showcase her. And it was a great 30-minute chat. So if you have time, check it out. And some of the topics that we're working on for next year, I'm going to actually have a North Liberty resident on Kelly McDonald. She's a friend of mine. She's also, again, a North Libertarian, and she's going to talk about American Heart Month. She's going to be talking about her and her husband's struggles when her son, practically from the time he was born, had heart issues, and he had to have several operations. He's a healthy 11-year-old boy now, but she is a big participant in American Heart Month. So I'm looking forward to having her on the podcast in February. And of course, if you think of anyone in your community who would like to talk about family, any family, all families, and would like to talk with us, I will be glad to talk with them. I think I have a gift for finding a topic where maybe the guest probably doesn't think there's one, and finding a way to cultivate that topic to be applicable to our community and making sure that they understand that they have a voice and that the library is here to help amplify those voices. So that is all I've got right now. Any questions for me?
I was curious, Kelly, about the grant that you guys are submitting on Thursday. Congratulations. Those are not easy to submit. And I was curious about like the budget. You said it's $3,000, and then what would the budget go towards during this time right now? How would you use it?
That's a great question. Thanks for asking. Some of the items that we decided on for the budget would go toward the conversations themselves, and that includes staff time, establishing an additional Zoom account specific to those talks. If we are lucky and blessed enough to have any of those talks in person, we would like to provide handouts. We'd like to provide refreshments. With right now the original budget, and I can take a look at, let's see, I can pull it up real quick. But yeah, so we're hoping that and then also for materials, there are definitely materials that we want to purchase as a result of those conversations. We're hoping that those conversations can also help, not only, these conversations of course are for the community, but I also feel like the feedback from these conversations will also help us as a library guide future purchases to make sure that our collection continues to be equitable, continues to be diverse, and continues to be inclusive. So I'm looking at some of what I put in the grant proposal as far as a budget, because that was actually one of the questions, of course, in the grant proposal. We're looking at staff time, of course, also marketing, including any ad fees, creative labor, and supplies. We find that most of our online marketing works best. I think most of our patrons look to our Facebook page for updates. So we would be using Facebook ads for that. As an author, I've used Facebook ads for my own branding as an author, so I have a lot of familiarity with that. So I'll be glad to help our social media librarian kind of facilitate where those ad dollars should go. We're looking at, again, companion materials for the library's collection, a second Zoom account, and then if we are able to have in-person chats, we'd have some money allotted for refreshments, as well as facilitation tools, including easels, dry erase boards, markers, and handouts. Great. Any additional questions?
Thank you for telling us about everything you're working on and working on all of these amazing projects. My question is there anything we can do as a board to support you and the teammates at the library?
Thank you. That's a great question. Just feel free to email me if you hear from people, even if you're if you're in a group or you're with friends and you hear someone chatting about something that has anything to do with wellness or family life, or if you know experts in those fields locally, I'm always looking for, folks to invite on Love, Light, and Lit and on Stork Storytime podcast, especially people who are local. I feel like those two platforms, my goal with those two platforms is to really amplify local voices, to amplify the voices of our community. And so if you have any names, feel free to email me and say, hey, Kelly, I've got this great friend who wants to talk about transracial adoption or interracial adoption. She has a great story about her own interracial adoption. Maybe you want to talk with her, and I would be more than happy to reach out to them. I am an extrovert, so I love reaching out to folks. So if you have any names of people to talk to that I can talk with, please pass them on.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank
All
you.
right. Oh, go ahead, Jenny.
I just said thank you, Kelly.
Next, we can move on to our reports with the budget report.
All right. Nice. So the full budget is sitting really well. 33% is where we should be, and we're at 32.4. So I think we're doing really well there. And it's the same old song that I say every month, which is we're slightly over in the heavy on the service and commodities, which is starting, as you can see, to level off even more. Most of that is because we're paying for the databases and things like that up front. I'll talk a little bit more detail about that, and the obviously the ebooks that are all encumbered as of now. And then just some other areas of the budget that are over. And they're all just expenses that are paid annually upfront. The service or the regular salaries and wages and all the commodity or personnel services are right on par. They're a little bit actually low this month, and that's just because of some of our transitions in staffing, having Janet shifting to a new position, and not having anyone hired for the IT position, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. The part-time wages are a little bit higher than normal, but I think that has to do with when we were all quarantined, and then also just because we've had 2 5-week pay periods, which when you're talking about hourly wages, that tends to spike up a little bit, but they're leveling off too. So I think they'll move closer. They tend to be a little higher throughout the year, and then at the end of the year kind of level, but that is where we are. And obviously there's some issues like training and conferences where we don't have the opportunity to travel and do those things. We were able to send people to the Association of Small and Rural Libraries, or the Rural and Small Libraries Conference. So that was awesome. And because we weren't traveling to it. Andrew is going to be going to Ripple, which he was hoping to go to in person. I believe it was going to be in Georgia, but it might have been in Colorado. I can't remember this year where it was supposed to be. And obviously that won't be happening, but it's an intense 3-day kind of statistical conference that he's looking very forward to. So, and we are excited to have him go. He loves statistics, which is also awesome for me. We get some good things from him, as you can see from his reports every month. So that is all I have on that. If you guys have any questions. No. All right, moving on. Is Friends up next? I have to scroll up. So Friends didn't have we did finally meet in person. I think that was before the last board meeting though, so I told you guys about that. They had another Zoom meeting this month. I was unable to attend because I had a conflict, but Melanie attended because she is helping them with their cookie project. They're doing the cookie kits this month. Those just got announced on our Facebook page and the Friends Facebook page. So if you haven't seen that, there's already 20 sold, so that's exciting. I think some of those are sold to Friends themselves, but if you guys get a chance to go look, all the cookies are tested by Friends who've agreed that they are all delicious recipes. They all made them, and cookies were flying back and forth, and pictures of cookies and emails. They've packaged them really cute in little bags with ribbons, and each person gets a little cookie cutter to kind of decorate the bag. And we're kind of calling that project Making Memories at Home. So chance for kiddos, it's all pre-measured so that kiddos can help cook if you have kids at the house, or just an easy way to have your supplies all ready for you. So if you guys have not had a chance to see that, I will send the link in case you all want to purchase cookies and help the Friends at the same time. And then the next thing on the list, I believe, is me, right? I'm not going to scroll back up. So staffing, we have just started today back into Teams because due to the COVID cases rising even more in Johnson County, our whole, we all agreed as a city kind of to start looking at that again last week. Most of the departments, unless they're really like the police, obviously have a little bit of trouble doing that because of their nature of their work. But they also have a huge facility now. It's lovely, where they can spread out a lot better than they were when they were on top of each other in the old building. The water, I believe water treatment is also not separating, but again, they have a brand new big facility and they have already started. Some people are working at the old water plant, some people are at the new, and they kind of have them split up pretty well. I think some of the folks are working evening shifts. They're splitting between day and evening, like the streets department. So everybody's doing what they can. We're very fortunate in our department that all of our staff is able to connect and work from home. It can be challenging after a while, just kind of the drain of doing that work. So they're all working hard to do what they can and do the program planning and things that they can all do all of that at home for, and we're lucky that we have that. And we were able to keep part-timers on teams as well. So everybody on staff is working. We have 3 teams. We have a third team this time around, which is 3 people that'll work just on Saturdays. That's partly because of their availability and partly because of their flexibility that we're able to do that. We expanded hours on Saturdays, so we'll be open from 10 to 3 instead of 10 to 1, trying to give people a little extra time. But along the same lines, we have suspended browsing in the library. Just that's a more high touch, high contact thing where when they're out in the stacks wandering around. So we felt that that was one that was probably a little bit too risky for us to do at this time. We are continuing to offer the DOT kiosk use and computers. With the weather getting colder, we don't think we can have people using laptops in the parking lot as easily. Most people aren't going to want to run their vehicle while they are working on computers. And we feel that we need to offer that service unless it becomes not safe. We did set up a second computer. Janet helped get that up and running. So we have 2 computers in staff or in meeting rooms, A and B. And then we are actually, if we had the demand, let's put someone into the teen lounge as well. So we potentially could let 3 in, but we're not going to have any more than 4 people in the building at once. We did extend the computer time to an hour because we found that half hour, most people are asking for just a little bit more time. It's not very much time to get things up and going. So we made the computer appointments on the hour and the DOT kiosk and notary on the half hour. And then we did get the lockers installed. If you haven't seen them, they're out there. They're super simple. So far, everybody that's used them has found them easy to use, and we've gotten good feedback from people. We got an email from someone or a comment saying, "Thank you so much. I hope you'll keep this service," which we had planned to do. I think a lot of the services, like our curbside, will continue even as we reopen. Curbside's fairly simple to do and not that high demand, and I think it'll become less so when people can come back in and browse. But we did notice it slowed down a little bit, and now it's picking back up again. I know today they were super busy. This morning, at least, I stayed home today, but they were busy when I stopped in this morning. So they look nice. The Parks Department and the maintenance guys got those all ready for us, which was really nice. And one set of the lockers was damaged when we got it, but they don't have any more like that. So they're supposed to credit me, but I heard from them that they're going to. We'll see if that happens. We are using it, so regardless, it's still in use, and that's good. We have a Big Brothers Big Sisters nest going in the library, and we are going to continue to allow that. We kind of added that one around as well as to whether, but we feel that we can do that relatively safely. They all wear masks and socially distance while they're in the building pretty well. They did have someone have a COVID case at home in that group, so they are suspending that for the next 2 weeks, which was already in the works anyway, so it worked out very well. So we'll be hoping that his family recovers and they do okay. And then Erin is seeking funding, she mentions in her report too, for a second nest in North Liberty that would run out of Lionheart Childcare if she can secure the funds. She's pretty well there. I think she's getting pretty close to having the funds she needs to do that. And that's just another example where we talked about it when I talked with Kelly about the grant, of just saying we can sometimes be the vehicle and not be the solution. So while we can't offer it in the library, Erin doesn't feel equipped to run that program. We felt that we needed a teacher or someone who's trained in classroom management to handle that type of a situation, but still be able to help out in our way, which is her helping kind of drive it to get it there. Then just on to professional activity. I have been acting in an advisory capacity they've just been asked to do this, act in an advisory capacity for a national grant that's called Libraries as Second Responders. And it's just about helping folks in the community who are vulnerable, COVID impacted communities, and how we can better serve them. And I suggested Amy to them for this role. And she said, "Oh, actually I could use both of you." So I think I'm still on the hook for that, which is fine. I told her I would talk with her about it. I'm not sure that I have the time to do it. And Amy kind of said the same thing. She actually wants Amy in a different role. I think she's going to ask me to be an advisor and actually have Amy be a tester of some of those modules and reviewing those modules. And then the grant Kelly's talking about, which is the Libraries Transforming Communities grant, I was asked by the ARSL folks to serve as on the beta test of that grant training. So I had my 4th one last week, which was the last one, and then we'll have kind of a decompressing and kind of talking it over at next week or this week on Friday to kind of talk about our feedback about what we felt we got out of it and things that might be tweaked and better done. It was really good training, and Kelly's gotten some hints of that training through the stuff she's done through ALA. It was a really great opportunity for ARSL to be able to partner with them on that grant. And then several staff, including me, completed the United Way 21-day equity challenge. It was pretty intense. Every day we got 4 or 5 different things we could link to for equity training and diversity training on different themes for 21 days. And if you started on those, they suggested 10 to 15 minutes a day, but often it was like a rabbit hole. You'd click on one and you'd go to another one and really, really good stuff out there. I think we found some good stuff that we can use also to just suggest from the library standpoint too. And then Amy suggested that we meet each week to kind of just settle into those topics and talk about them a little bit so we weren't overwhelmed by it. And I think that was a great suggestion. We did not get to, I was out gone one week, and I think there was one week that we weren't able to meet because we were short staff, but it went really well. So for the election, we hosted voting in the building. We actually had it down in the conference room of the rec center, and I thought they were going to go in through a side door, and they ended up not doing that. So they asked us if we would allow library access to the polls. My only concern was the mask wearing. So I did call the auditor's office to ensure that we would be able to require masks. And he said, because we were told that we couldn't require them at the actual polling site for the big election on November 3rd, the general election, but we were able to do that at satellite voting, but not at the big general election. We were able to do that. So we had, I sat at the front for about 7 hours that day, from 7 in the morning till about 2:30 or 3. And we did not have one person come in without a mask, which I thought was really lovely and gratifying. We had one guy that I think didn't have one, kind of hovering by the doors for a bit, and then he came in and we had them available, and he was able to get one, and he left wearing that mask. So that was nice. And then we were able that day to put out our masks, our cloth masks too, and give away, we gave away 37. So just more masks going out into the community. And that is really about all that's happened since we met last time at the library. Crazy stuff going on all the time. And then as you can see, you probably ran through the director's reports, or all the different staff reports, which are listed there. So if you have any questions on any of those, please let me know. I just asked her about her laughter as therapy presentation. She did some training to be able to deliver that laughter as therapy, and got certified for that. And she said they had 8 people there, and it was pretty fun. I asked her if maybe during this time when the staff is split up, she could do something for all the library staff in that area too. We could all use a little laughter these days. And I think Melanie's been working on our blog, which is really cool. So just lots of stuff going on as they continue to try to find ways to serve. Another thing that Melanie brought up that she didn't talk about in here because we hadn't settled on it, but I think we are, is she's been wanting for some time to look at having a library app where people can have their library card on their phone and do some different things in the app. And so she found out that there is a Biblioteca, which is a company that's very well-known in libraries, has a program, a library app program, where folks can actually check out on their phone. They can have their library card on their phone. They can walk through the library, check their stuff out as they go. And then when they're ready to bring it back, they can check it in, not completely, but into a basket. So they know they have all the books when they come back into the library. We did some research, found some other libraries have that software and really like it. And then we also, a second piece to that is they have an ebook platform that's a little bit different from the one we have, Overdrive. If they share, so if we were to buy it, the content is ours to keep. And if we decided, say that we weren't going to go with them anymore, we could take that content with us if we left the group, but they also let you buy into a consortia, which they are, I think, trying pretty hard to get in Iowa. So I talked to a librarian in somewhere that I can't tell you right now because I can't think, who has it, Becky Bilby, my friend Becky Bilby, who I can't think where she's a librarian right now, but she, Sioux Center, and she has that program. They've had it for about 8 years and they have a pretty good collection built. And then Cedar Rapids is also in, and the whole metro area is in that. So if we were to buy into that, we not only get our own content, but we get to share their content. And one good thing that they do is they have, so say if North Liberty has a book that nobody else has, and it's sitting on our shelf, on our ebook shelf, and we aren't using it, one of their patrons could check it out and see it. They think it's from their library. You can't tell, it's just seamless. But if one of our patrons puts a hold on that book and then another patron somewhere else has a hold on it, our patron automatically gets it first. So our patrons are prioritized, and they only can have access to those materials that are available. So which is pretty cool. And we just were getting ready to jump that gun, and they sent out a thing Friday that said they were giving 50% off. So on both platforms, which is huge. And then we get that price for 3 years. It is a little bit pricey, but I think we can swing it with some of our other stuff that we're not doing this year. So I think we're going to go for it. I have just been emailing back and forth with her on Friday and then again this morning. So hopefully we'll have that settled by the next time we meet.
I have a question.
Yeah.
With the app, will people be able to check out physical books or put a hold on physical books on
Yes,
there?
I think so. I think that's going to be, I don't know all the details about the app. I actually, again, was not available. I had another meeting when Melanie and Andrew sat in on that. I will ask Melanie that for sure, but I'm pretty sure that that was one of the features.
That'd be great. That'd be helpful.
I know that my friend said that some folks, especially with the ebooks, some folks are just sold on Overdrive and they won't leave the Overdrive platform or Libby, and other people have just really loved this app, or this other program. One of the things that Andrew wants to do with this is kind of focus on a couple different collections and have maybe all the teen materials are about there and we can direct that group there, or all the fantasy, or some collection that we kind of just drive there. As opposed, one thing he doesn't want to do is overlap the collections, because then we end up with two records in our MARC records in our database, and that gets a little confusing for people. And it would also prove a little bit more work for him, to the point where it's probably would be burdensome. So he's looking at what he's going to do, how he's going to do that. I know Becky said one of the things she does, and so I want to talk with her a little bit more, is if she notices that there's a high demand in Overdrive for a certain title, she will buy it in this collection and then push people that way. I'm a little worried about that. She's in the bigger consortia for the ebooks of Overdrive and Bridges, and they have a much higher demand than we do. Our titles, because we share with just Iowa City and Coralville, tend to be easier to get in Overdrive, so I'm not sure we need to go that route, but it's another option for us if we decided to, and if once Andrew gets comfortable with using the program. So, and you can put holds on books right now too, right, Heidi?
Yeah, when I've gone in to try to put a hold on a physical book, the only way I could do it was go into the website, log in, correct? And then that's how I
yeah, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to ask her. I'm not 100% sure. I'll ask her. I would assume you can, because you can search our collection through it.
Okay. I know for the ebooks, that's a really nice feature.
All right. And so I think that is about it. I know. And then Andrew gives you some pretty good statistics. One of the things that I mentioned to him was Coralville was mentioning to us that about their circulation is at about 60% of what it was when they had people coming in to the library with their library service, their curbside service. Ours is about 45%, and I don't find that surprising. We kind of wondered why Coralville was so much busier than us at a couple times. I think some of it is that people from Iowa City, or when Iowa City was completely closed, which they are again now, Coralville's closer. It's right there. So I think that was one of the things that probably drove their statistics up a little bit. I'm not sure why else. They only do a couple hours a day of curbside. So maybe it's, I mean, the people just line up and go through. So I am not sure, but I think 45 is okay. I knew as soon as I mentioned to him what their stats were that he would want to know what ours were. So he looked that up like the very next day and brought that to me. So I feel like that's pretty good considering that we don't have people in our doors. It's just all so weird for us to be operating this way, and he gave me a lot of statistics. So then I just added some more in there for you guys to see, just on a separate document. And that is all I have for reports.
Thanks, Jenny. Does anybody have questions at this time? No? All right, then we'll move on to reviewing the policies. First one was the library conduct policy. Does anybody have suggestions for revision or questions or anything? No? All right.
And as a staff, we also reviewed these and didn't have any changes for either one. So
okay, sounds good.
unless Kelly has any suggestions, she works more with the art policy. So I don't know if I think she's talking. Somebody's talking to her. Kelly, I was just saying, did you have anything about the art
Oh,
policy?
sorry. I'm sorry. My daughter had come in and I was talking
I saw that.
about the art wall.
No, the art display policy. Did you have any?
Oh, the art display policy. Nothing to add right now, given everything that's going on. We are kind of keeping up the artists that we had before lockdown in March. So she's agreed to let her stuff to stay up. But yeah, I'm hoping that, with everything that's going on, the art wall situation kind of got paused with everything, but I'm glad we're implementing this policy so that when we can invite people back into the building again, we can start to circulate more artists on the wall. So looks good to me.
In terms of voting, I guess before we vote on the library conduct policy, does anybody have any revisions for the art display policy or questions? No. I don't know if this breaks voting rules, but does anybody have a motion to approve the library conduct policy and the art display policy as written?
I move we approve them.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second that.
Perfect. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. All right, so those are approved for another year as written. And then, anybody have any old business? I did not know of anything. No? How about new business? No? Well, is there a motion to end the November meeting then?
I'll just jump in really quick and say Chris was able to just get on to Facebook and watch the meeting. She just wasn't able to participate. So I don't know if that counts as her attending or not, but she's here in spirit.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Does anybody want a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make the motion to adjourn the meeting. Sorry.
That's okay. A second?
I second.
Perfect. So we'll end tonight's meeting and our next meeting is scheduled for December 21st. All right.
Stay
Thank you,
safe,
everybody.
everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.
You guys too.
Thanks all.
Great. Bye-bye.